If you want to improve your coaching business, you want to reach more people, sell more offers, make more money, create more transformation in your clients' lives, then this conversation is a must. I got to sit down just this week with my personal mentor, Myron Golden, one of the best in the business and one of the best human beings on the planet. Got to interview him at his Mouth to Millions Mastermind here in Clearwater Beach, Florida. And we got to talk about three core things that I think every entrepreneur online needs. We talked about creating authentic content. How do you show up authentically as yourself, which is more important than ever in the day and age of AI and cloning. Number two, we talked about the power of long form content, specifically why YouTube is the place to be and how to think about having endless pieces of content to create. And then number three, the often difficult question, the one that I get asked more often than almost anything else, which is how do I distinguish between the free content I put out there in the world and the paid stuff that I sell? This is a powerful conversation. If you lean in, Myron is one of the best, if not the best in the business when it comes to offer creation, selling from stage, long form video content, and really bringing lasting transformation in his clients' lives. I've paid him a crap ton of money to work with him closely because I value his mindset, his belief, his worldview, and his methodology so much that I want to be in the room with a guy like him to level up myself so that my business can level up, so my clients can level up. And so if you haven't worked with Myron directly, this is close. You're going to get into the mind of Myron. I'm telling you, something that he drops in this episode is going to blow your minds. So listen for the thing that's for you. Wherever you are in your business journey, listen for the moment that was for you. And if you take massive action quickly on the thing you hear today, I promise you, you're going to see results. So sit back, relax, and enjoy my conversation with my friend and mentor, Myron Golden. Yeah, so for a phrase I've been saying for years that you've embodied that I think has probably made you so much money and that I've always wanted my students to get and I want to internalize is that without an audience, nothing is possible.
Yeah, real talk.
But with an audience, anything is possible.
100.
Meaning you could be an influencer and sell brand deals. You could sell merch. You could sell coaching. You
100%.
could do a movie deal. But the only reason you can do it is because you have an audience. So you've been in the business of audience building, and you were talking earlier today about the momentum that's creating. But just, I believe in this so much. It's the only way I've been able to generate millions of dollars without running ads, although that is a way to build an audience. But
Sure.
Talk about audience building and why does that phrase ring true for you?
Yeah, I think that audience building is the result of something, right? It's the result of actually building a brand. And so, and it's so interesting how we think things are the way we are. When I first got started as an entrepreneur, I learned how to sell. And I got good at selling. After being really bad at selling, I got good at selling finally. And then I'd hear people talk about marketing. I thought, oh, they're talking about marketing because they don't know how to sell. Then I learned how to do marketing. I was like, oh, if you get good at marketing, marketing makes sales almost effortless.
Yep.
And so then I learned about marketing and I learned about sales. And so I knew about marketing and sales. I'm like, I'd hear people talk about branding. Oh, branding, schmanding, who cares about branding, right? The branding, people talking about branding because they don't know how to do sales and marketing. Then I accidentally built a brand. I was like, oh. That's the jet engine. That's the rocket engine, right? Yep. Sales is like a propeller. Marketing is like a jet engine, but like branding is like a rocket engine. And so what is a brand? A brand is a name that reminds you of a story. Yes. And so the thing that causes you to attract an audience when you build a brand is when you're out there telling the story, whatever the story is. You're demonstrating to people and telling people and showing people that you've obsessed over finding a solution to their problem more than they have. That's what causes people to be attracted to you. Nowadays, you have people who want to go and they want to learn how to use AI and they want to learn how to be viral and they want to learn all these tactics so they can make money. And what they're really attempting to do that they're unfortunately going to find out too late that it really doesn't work, at least not long term, is they're attempting to be interesting so people pay attention to them. But people don't pay attention to people because they're trying to be interesting. People pay attention to people because they're interested. Interested people are interesting. People who are seeking to be interesting are boring.
Wow.
And so what happened was I learned how to provide value and a service for people. And then after doing that for many, many years in the booth in the back in the corner in the dark, I finally turned on a camera. And lo and behold, when you turn on the camera, when you've been preparing yourself by doing something over a long period of time, people start showing up. So, yeah, our YouTube channel blew up really, really fast after crawling along really, really slowly. So I don't know if when did you start on YouTube?
2009, late 2009.
2009. Did you know right away that it was like a platform that YouTube would pay you for and they'd send you?
Oh, no.
Oh, you didn't know that either? No. Okay. So I started on YouTube March 15, 2007. I was on YouTube for 14 years before I knew YouTube paid people for videos. 14 years. And that's not an exaggeration.
Yeah.
But when I found that out, I was like, you can get paid? Oh, yeah, we're going to do this.
Well, it's funny you say that because I had a friend of mine on my first YouTube channel that was like, bro, you're not running ads on your channel. And I knew it existed, but I was like, well, how much money could it make? Because I was making so much money selling my own offers.
Right.
And so people thought I'm running this channel, and the first one was in the music space, it's called The Recording Revolution, and they would feel bad for me, like, I've watched so many of your videos, I'm sorry you're not making much money off of this. I'm like, I'm making plenty of money. They didn't see the back end of the funnel.
Right.
So I was not worried about turning on the switch with ads, which I think is a good problem, but it was
I didn't know there was a switch.
Exactly. I didn't know there was one for a while.
Okay.
And then I thought maybe it's fractions of a penny, like the Office Space movie, like just stealing fractions of a penny. No one will notice. But it is real money, but the real money, I think, is in what you sell on the back end, for sure.
Oh, yeah. So our YouTube ad revenue is only, $50,000 to $70,000 a month. That's less than 5% of our revenue.
Sure. But
it's still significant.
It's better than a stick in the eye.
Better than a stick in the eye, for sure. And so I was so fascinated that YouTube will pay me. But see, here's what people don't see. Like, people want to start out, and they want the views, and they want the subscribers, and they want the stuff. But see, like, take my Bible study channel, for instance, right? We just started July of last year. It's literally 1 year and 1 month old. It has 100,000 subscribers. It made me $8,800 last month, that channel, just from YouTube ad revenue, right? And so that channel didn't start as a YouTube channel. It started as a Bible study at IHOP on Bears Avenue in 275 in March of 2013. And I showed up every week, and 5 people would show up, or 7, or sometimes 15. And then I started broadcasting it on Facebook Live, while at the same time being on a conference call line so people around the country could hear it. Wow. And then eventually I just took what I had been doing in the dark on Facebook and at IHOP and just did it on YouTube Live. Like, I was doing the thing before I shined a light on the thing I was doing.
Right. Like, people think you came out of nowhere.
People think I came out of nowhere, but I was doing it for years. I was doing the Bible study. Like, we started the Bible study channel. We started, like, doing Bible studies on my main channel in 2022. So I was doing that Bible study for 9 years before it ever saw the light of day on YouTube.
Yeah. I love that. And something you said, I think you said it maybe last night when we were hanging out with the VIPs, but, you said something about it's authenticity that we need, not the attention.
Right. Yeah. So I think attention used to be like the most valuable currency as an entrepreneur.
Right.
But because AI now is so available and anything can be mimicked poorly, there are so many fake Myron Golden channels popping up that, like, I can't even count them all. Like, as fast as we get 20 of them taken down, 20 new ones pop up, right? And so I think the greatest currency in the very near future is going to be authenticity. And so people wanting to know that they're actually dealing with the person they think they're dealing with, and not some fake AI clone video or clone voice or avatar that's been created by somebody in their mother's basement somewhere.
100%. And so you tell me if this is true with your students. I find that when I'm trying to tell people, I'm saying long-form video content on YouTube is the greatest thing that exists if you want to have a business, but there's resistance. Some people are like, great, let's do it. I find resistance from people because they say, I'm not good on camera, I'm not very polished, and this is tying in with the authenticity piece, or I'm not like so-and-so, or when they think YouTube, they think a very specific type of channel. I'm not Mr. Beast, I'm not this, I'm not this. To the authenticity piece, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the whole point is to show up as who you are, so you will repel the people who don't like you, but will attract the people that like you.
That's the point. That's the whole point. You know, it's so interesting. I look at some of my earlier YouTube videos. My video would start, I'd be looking at my iPad, and people would be looking at the top of my head. Like, I wasn't doing any of the stuff that you're supposed to do.
Right.
Supposed to do, whatever that means. And I'm just showing up with a message that matters to people who care. Everybody's not going to care.
Right.
And if you can't handle the fact that everybody's not going to care, maybe you're a little bit too fragile to be on YouTube. If you can't handle the fact that you're going to be misunderstood, so oddly enough and very hilariously enough, I have been called so many names. I've been called a prosperity gospel preacher. I've been called a false prophet. I've been called the Antichrist at least twice.
Wow.
Right? You're going to be misunderstood.
Yeah.
And if you can't handle the haters, you can't handle the celebrators, because you're never going to have any. You'll always be hiding from the haters, and you'll never do enough work that matters where the celebrators will be able to find you.
100%.
So
I feel like the hate that we get online, which is inevitable, is the price you pay for being able to impact people's lives.
It is. And the haters aren't hating you because of you.
Right.
They're hating you because they're haters.
Yeah.
So you just happen to be a place they can point their hate. It has nothing to do with you, except you just happen to be there.
Yep.
Right? And as far as long-form attention on YouTube, I think that long-form YouTube in particular, there are other platforms. I get that. There's long-form on Facebook and there's long-form on LinkedIn. I get that. All that's fine. But long-form YouTube video for business is maybe the single biggest under-tapped gold mine that has existed since business began.
Yes.
So,
and can I give an example for those that are watching this that don't know? I've been following you on YouTube for 2.5 years.
Right.
I
didn't even know you were following me. That's the thing about YouTube. You don't know who's following you.
Oh, yeah. You never know who's watching. And I just found out that our mutual friend, Dr. Benjamin Hardy, has been following me on YouTube also.
Right. How cool is that?
He's like, no, bro, I watch your stuff on YouTube. I was like, oh, wow. You know, you just never know who's watching.
Exactly.
For better or for worse. But I've been watching you for 2.5 years. Someone introduced me to your stuff. I think it was Rick Pino, one of your clients back in the day. He's like, you got to follow Myron's stuff. I'm like, he's in Tampa. You're in Tampa. So I started watching your stuff. And 2.5 years later, I just wired you $375,000. and I did it happily. And my wife didn't even think I was crazy. And the reason she's a good woman. The reason I bring it up is because you've said something, and it just put words to what I've experienced. Only, you know, on both sides of the coin, being the buyer and the seller, is that immersion creates conversion. And so I had been immersed in your content off and on, spats and spurts for 2.5 years, to the point that wiring you $375,000 made so much sense because I felt like I knew you, I trusted you, I knew what you could do for me, and then I knew I was at a place where I was ready, not only financially, but I had the mental space to like, okay, if I'm going to pay a man and learn from him, I'm going to do what he says, but I need the time to do it. That is the power, I think, of the long-form content. So maybe speak to, that's an example. I'm an example of it, but I think so many people could use that for whatever they sell.
So one of the things that I like to ask people is, how many hours are there in a day?
24.
And it's a trick question. It's a trick question. Because the real answer is, it depends on whose day. Ooh. So on YouTube, as you well know, there's a stat called watch time hours. And apparently I've moved my apps around, and so I can't even, okay, there it is. So watch time hours, right? So there are 24 hours in a day. There are 8,760 hours in a week. I'm pretty sure that's what the number is, okay? So, in fact, I'm going to do the math because I don't like giving people misinformation, right? So there's 24 hours in a day times 365 So there are 8,760 hours in a year. I was right. Okay, there are 8,760 hours in a year. There's 24 hours in a day. Well, here's what's really super crazy cool. When I look at watch time hours on YouTube, on my main channel on July 28th, that was a couple days ago, people spent 19,239 hours watching me in one 24-hour day. That's like over 2 years.
Yeah, a little over 2.5 years.
A little over 2.5 years, people spent watching me in one day. Last year, no, not last year, in the last 28 days, people spent 354,000 hours watching me. So if I take 354,000 divided by 8,760, people spent 40 years watching me, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 40 years watching me in the last 28 days. That's a lot of attention. Yeah. And see, here's what's cool about attention that people don't get. Where attention goes, intention follows. In order for people to set their intention on you, they have to pay attention to you.
Yes.
So if you can get them to pay attention to you long enough, like you did, 2.5 years, and some of you I think, 2.5 years, that's a long time. Is it a long time for somebody to buy a $375,000 offer? It's not too long for me, so I'm just going to keep on putting them out there. And who knows how many 2.5 year, 375,000 people going to stumble across, right? So the beauty of it is this. If Daniel Priestley talks about Robin Dunbar's numbers, which are 7-11-4, right? You're familiar with 7-11-4.
Yes.
So he says that people, in order to feel like they know you, believe they can trust you, and genuinely, believe that, in order for people to feel like they know you, genuinely like you, and believe they can trust you, they need to spend 7 hours with you over 11 different interactions on 4 different platforms. Okay? Cool. So if somebody needs to spend 7 hours with you, and all you have out there is 1-minute videos, think about how many videos they have to watch before they spend 7 hours with you.
Yep.
But if your videos are out there 20 minutes at a time, 30 minutes at a time, 7 hours comes a whole lot. 14 30-minute videos is 7 hours.
Yep.
But you multiply that times 60, and that's how many 1-minute videos a day. That's crazy.
That's insane influence because, like, I've had the weirdest comments. People will say, I go to bed listening to you. I'm like, that's weird. You know? but like,
right.
I'll meet them, and you get it too.
Yeah.
You'll meet them, and they're like, I have watched so many hours. Like, they feel like they know you.
They feel like they know you.
And so, which is great because there's so many charlatans and there's so many people who can have a slick presentation.
Right.
But what I love about your content is it's just you. There's no editing. You do it live, literally.
Live.
So it's like, are we live? Okay, we're live. And then you go, and then when it's over, you're like, goodbye. And what you see is what you get.
Right.
And so, it shows you have mastery over the subject, which doesn't mean you should be intimidated by doing it. It means you should just do the thing you have mastery over and teach that.
Or do the thing that you're gaining mastery over until you get good enough to have mastery over it, and just keep doing it anyway.
Exactly. And then 2, I think people trust you more because it's not a scripted performance. Because it's not easy to do a performance. You have to really be good, but it can be planned and choreographed. When you hit go and speak for 30 minutes and riff and go down the rabbit trails, I think people are endeared to you and they realize he knows what he's talking about. I get a sense of who he is. And I think when you make an offer, either in that environment or on a challenge or at an event, people are less likely to doubt whether you can deliver for them because they've seen hours of you just being you and they know what they're going to get.
Right.
And so maybe just speak to the power of, because you connect, I think there's a huge connection between your long form content and the fact that you can charge what you charge for your high ticket offers. So maybe
100%. Talk
about why does the immersion create the conversion? I sense it because they know you, they trust you. Is it because you're speeding up the trust, or is it that they've gotten proof from your ability to deliver results?
All of the above. So one of the things that Frank Kern says, he says, you have to prove to people that you can help them by actually helping them.
Right.
Right? And so I've met people at live events who came to me and told me their business was struggling, and now they're making $50,000 a month just from the stuff they learned from watching my YouTube videos. Nobody's questioning whether it works, right? I'm not teaching people on YouTube the same stuff I'm teaching you guys who pay me $375,000, right? Obviously. But one of the reasons I have what I call my community service content, because I know everybody doesn't have money, right? So I charge a lot of money, but I have content that will help people who don't have money, so that when they do that stuff, when they come into my environment, they have enough money to buy the things that I'm selling. Like, it's not totally altruistic. There is some level of self-interest in it. If I help you make enough money to buy a book, maybe you'll do the stuff in the book and earn enough money to buy a challenge ticket, and then earn enough money to buy a coaching program, right? And so I believe that I've already, by the time somebody takes out their wallet, they've already implemented something I've said and found out that it worked.
Yeah.
So they're not wondering if it's going to work. One of the most common questions we get in the comments on YouTube: how can he afford to teach us this much stuff on YouTube for free? And the other question is, if he taught us this much for free, I can't imagine what he'll teach me if I pay him. And so that's what people are thinking about, because my objective is to serve. And if that means they feel like they've learned enough that they never want to buy anything, so be it. But some people just want to get closer and they want to learn more. And for those people, here we are.
So you brought up my next question. One of the number one questions I get is, how do I know what to teach for free and what to sell behind the paywall and teach behind the paywall? So if you're in a coaching, consulting kind of business versus a service, how do you personally think about that delineation, if there is one?
So I think there are a couple of different ways you can say it. I'm going to teach you some stuff for free, but the rest of it you got to pay for. So there's one, right? I'm going to teach you some of this for free, right? I might teach you how to make a few $1,000s for free. I'm not going to teach you how to make $1 million for free. I mean, I'll tell you what you have to do to make $1 million. So one of the things that I teach my coaching clients that I don't necessarily talk about on YouTube, and I'm okay sharing it here because somebody's going to see it, oh well. So when I'm teaching community service content, because I like the word community service more than I like the word free, because it's not free. They have to pay with their attention. And it's content that I'm creating to serve a community, right? So when I'm teaching my community service content, I teach what to do, why to do it, when to do it, what to expect if they do it. And I'll teach them all of that on my content, on my community service content. I will teach what, when, where, why, and what you can expect if you do it, and make it feel like I'm teaching you how. Mm-hmm. But in order for me to teach you specifically step-by-step how, now you got to pay. So that's how I tell the difference.
Yeah.
So here's what's cool, though. A lot of people think that in order for you to change somebody's life, you have to teach them how.
Yeah.
When you teach them how, that doesn't change their life. That just speeds up the process. If you teach somebody the mindset without teaching them the skill set or giving them the tool set, if they really get the mindset, they'll figure out the other two. Yeah. If you teach them the skill set and give them the tool set for free, if they don't have the mindset, they will do absolutely nothing with it.
Dude, that is so true. I'm a guy that cut his teeth with content on the how, and it was tutorials. And I was in the music space, and it was like, turn this knob, move the microphone here, you'll get this result. And I prided myself on no fluff. And what I meant by that back in the day was like no mindset, no concepts, just do this, you'll get this result. And when I started doing business coaching, I carried that over and started all the how. And people loved it. Like, oh, great, he's telling me all the secret sauce. And until I started to realize that I would be talking to someone, I've been following you for years. I bought your course, I bought your book, I got this. And I was like, great, like, how's business going? It's been 4 years since you bought my course. Oh, I haven't launched it yet. I'm waiting until I'm ready. And I'm like, and it wasn't just that one person, it's the next person, the next person. I'm like,
What's happening
Maybe
here?
it's not them. Maybe it's me. Maybe they're so fat off the buffet of tutorials in the how but they don't have the belief in themselves that they are the person that can do the thing, to have the thing. And, it was, as a coach, you're just like, I'm not giving them what they really need.
100.
And that's something I've been picking up from you, is just the belief and the principles that get them motivated are way more powerful than the how.
Well, if you think about the very first success principle that God gave in Genesis chapter 1, here's what he said. First time God ever talked to a human, here's what he said. Be, do, have. Be fruitful, do multiply, do replenish, do subdue, have dominion. Be, do, have. So be, do, have means don't be, can't do. Can't do, can't have. Be a little, do a little, do a little, have a little. Sounds like a song, doesn't it? Be a lot, do a lot, have a lot. So if you teach people what to do without teaching them who to be,
Yes.
they ain't gonna do it. Why? Because everybody is already doing 100% of everything they can do who they are right now. If you don't change the person,
Yep.
they'll never do the skill set. It doesn't matter if they know how. They won't do it because it is inconsistent with who they see themselves as being.
And that's lights out. Like what you just said is lights out. And that's what I've been starting to see in when you teach sales, your sales process is less, like when I first watched you pitch something, I was like, that was the pitch? And no offense.
No, none taken.
It was instructive. I was like, it was, then I had to back up. I'm like, no, the pitch has been happening all along. Let's say if it's a 5-day challenge, the pitch began even before day one, but it wasn't the traditional selling, or here's the pieces you get.
Right, you get this, and this, and this, and that.
Yeah,
And, this,
and then a slash and a red, and now it's a green letter. It was, if you're paying attention, you're helping me become the person who could say yes to your offer. And that's like lights out.
That's it. Right. Transform the person. If you can transform the transformed person will engage in the transaction.
Can I like give you some kudos? I've been trying to model. Like I learn by modeling, right? You find someone that's done the thing you want to do or done more of it, model them, and everything about it. So I've been modeling your stuff, and I remember I did my first challenge, and one of the things I've loved about what you do is, again, I want to teach all the how and all the stuff, and you do a lot of that, but you also do a lot of the storytelling, and storytelling for a purpose. And I've been on a journey to learn storytelling the last 3 years, and watching you do it is wonderful as well. The way you would end your challenge is there'd be a really powerful story, let's say on day 5. Mm-hmm. And old Graham would want to, on day 5, have one more final mega tactic, or, as opposed to a story. And so I'm like, do I do what old Graham wants to do, or do I do what Myron, my mentor's doing? And so I'm like, well, let's try it his way. And so I felt led to tell a certain story. I told this story about Moses and the burning bush, and I love the story. I love so much about the story, and all his internal conflict to do the thing God's called him to do, and all his excuses, and God keeps giving him answers for the excuses. I tell the story, I wrap up the day, and then I open the floor for takeaways from the day, like I do every day in the challenge. And this one woman is just bawling. Wow. She's just bawling. And she's the sweetest lady. She's been in there all week long, hanging in there with the VIP stuff, great insights, brilliant entrepreneur, and she's bawling. And she's the last person I thought would be crying, because she seemed like a real strong, and she starts to share, like, I'm right on the edge of like my assignment, like the thing. Like I've been doing business and life forever, but I'm right on the edge of the next thing. And when you were sharing that story about Moses, and he's like 80 years old, and he's on the edge of he's done some things, but now he's on the edge of his real season, and all that doubt and conflict, she's like, it just hit me here. And I realized, no, I must do this thing. I'm going to, like, you could see her coming alive, right? Wow. And I knew whether she bought the offer or not, that like I hit a nerve with her, that she was
she felt permission to step into who, like it was way bigger.
You empowered her.
I empowered her.
You empowered her.
I was like, this is what he's talking about. And that, to me, that was game changing just to experience that. And she wasn't the only one, but that was so powerful, man. And that, it's so hard for my thick skull to get out of it. Just teach a tactic that'll blow their mind, but showing them who they could be blows their mind.
That's what really blows their mind. Showing them who God already knows they are.
Yes. That's insane.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing and game-changing. And I think the thing that we can do for people the most is help them step into their true identity.
Yep.
And when they realize who they are based on whose they are, then they'll know what they can do. And when they know what they can do, then they'll do it. And when they do it, they'll start having the stuff, and it only reinforces who they are now know that they are. And it's like a cycle, and it just keeps on rinsing and repeating, rinsing and repeating, rinsing and repeating.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So it's really I think what I'm taking away from watching you work and being in these rooms, it is no matter what industry we're in, whatever we sell, we're in the people business.
Oh, 100%.
And we're in the belief empowerment business and helping people become who they could be. And a real coach, right, is someone who imparts belief in somebody.
100%.
It's like, I see this in you. And it's like, if I can learn that skill, then whatever else over here is going to multiply.
Absolutely. The absolute most important thing any coach can do for anybody they coach is to believe in that client's ability to win. If you can't believe in their ability to win, you don't have the ability to coach them.
Wow.
Because what you're doing when you're coaching somebody is you're pulling something out of them that's already there. You're not putting something in there that didn't exist before. If you don't believe it's there, you can't pull it out.
It's so good.
So that's how we do what we do. That's how we do what we do in our little corner of the world.
Right. You're doing so well, man. This has been amazing. I have one. Can I go to one more last
Sure.
practical question?
Please do.
Because I think about this all the time, and I get the question a lot. If we go back to content, and I think this is maybe a perfect segue in a way. One of the questions I got when I started creating content was how do you keep creating content? Like, aren't you going to run out of things to say? And what do you do when you run out of things to say? And I went through different phases where I felt like I ran out of things to say. And I would hire content coaches and people, and they would say, bro, you just go back to the things you've already said, and you can say them in fresh ways. Like, there should be no reason you run out of things to say. As someone that's prolific, and I think you must be prolific as a content creator, can you just speak to how you think about content creation in your, let's just pick the business side of things. How do you never run out of things to teach? And do you find that there's a level of they need to hear this message again and it's okay?
Oh, for sure.
Or I need to say it in a fresh way. But
yes.
How does Myron's brain think about that?
Well, first of all, I said it this morning in the event, truth is infinite and our minds are finite. So there's more truth. Like the truth that exists about business is a Pacific Ocean in magnitude. And our ability to remember to apply all of it is about the size of a teaspoon, right? So running out of content, running out of things to say is only possible if you're not an interested person.
Yeah.
I think the best thing that I could advise somebody to do is something that I learned from Charlie Tremendous Jones when I read his book, Life is Tremendous, back when I was 21 years old. There's one sentence in that book that changed my life forever. And that was, he said, I'm going to do it in my Charlie Jones voice. When you read a book, or you listen to a sermon, or you go to a seminar, and somebody says something, and you really like it, and it really resonates, don't write down what they said. Write down what you thought of as a result of what they said. And so one of the things that I learned to do in my 20s was not to take notes verbatim based on what somebody said, but to take notes on my own thoughts. That's my content, what I think about. And then what I go do and apply it, and then what I observe as I apply it, that's my content. And so I was talking to a physicist, and you heard me say this before. His name was Austin. He lived in Boston. We were on a plane ride from San Diego to Baltimore. We talked about physics for 5 hours. And one of the questions I asked Austin, from Boston, the physicist, what's your favorite physics principle? He said that all principles are microcosms of each other. And I said, ooh, that's so good. But tell me what you mean, because I don't want to mess it up. So I want to say it like you said. He said, if you take a principle from one arena or domain and you put it in another arena or domain, it still has to be true. I was like, that is so good. So that means I can take a principle from this discipline over here and apply it to sales, and it still has to be true. It's kind of like what I talked about when I was teaching King Solomon's business model this morning. King Solomon taught uncommon lessons from commonplace things. And so if I can figure out an application of a principle and teach that principle, it will shine a light on somebody's confusion somewhere. And so that's pretty much how I know. I don't run out of, I'm always learning.
Yep.
Like I don't let a day go by that I don't learn something that I didn't know the day before. And then when I'm taking notes, I'm taking notes on what I'm thinking as I'm learning. And so I don't teach every day. So it'd be virtually impossible for me to run out of stuff because I'm learning. I'm more of a student than I am a teacher. I guess that's be more of a student than you are a teacher, and you'll never run out of content.
That's so good. Bro. Yeah, I don't even know what else to say. No, but to your point, that Charlie Jones quote, it's like you're synthesizing in real time. Like
Exactly.
That's like the skill set is like hearing it. What is it making me think of? Synthesizing. You're creating your frameworks, your thoughts, like almost in real time.
In real time. And then I take notes. So, I mean, to do the deep dive on the Myron, nutty Professor Myron. So when I take notes, I'm writing notes in a notebook about something I thought, and sometimes I'm writing notes in the margin of the book I'm reading.
Yep.
Sometimes I'm writing notes on a sticky note and sticking it like under the sentence where I got the idea. When I'm done reading the book, I just go back, take all my sticky notes, I create a Google Doc with all these principles that I've learned, categorized based on the principle that I was thinking about when I wrote that note. And so when it comes time for me to have something to teach about discipline or about hard work or about struggle or about whatever, I've got all of these original Myron Golden quotes and all these concepts that I can teach with pictures and parables and principles. And but I never. It's virtually impossible to run out of stuff to say.
That's another thing you do so well is the alliteration, the tricolon, alliterative. I mean,
it is, and that just makes it easier for people to remember.
Yes. And and I think if it's alliterated, people think you're smarter.
They do.
Oh my gosh!
How did he do
They'll
that?
start with the letter P. I was like, haven't you ever seen a good Baptist sermon, bro? Like, but it's so good.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it seems more thought through.
Yes, because it is more thought through.
Exactly.
It requires a level of intention.
But it's like that 1% extra of intention that when it comes out seems like 10 times more profound.
The more you work on distilling your content before you say it, the less they have to work to comprehend it.
Yes.
It's kind of like when our children were infants. Like, I know some of you are going to think this is gross, and if you're a parent, though, you did this, and if you didn't, your parents did, I promise you, because baby food was not always a thing. So before our children had teeth, we would chew up food and then put it in their mouth, and they would eat it, right?
Yep.
Okay, so my job is to take my ideas and concepts and pre-digest them.
Yes.
And then when I give it to you, you don't have all the tools I have yet, so now you don't have to work as hard.
So
that's
good.
the whole thing. That's the idea.
It's so good. And I just think that whatever it is that you're teaching or coaching or sharing, I think we minimize how much we know and how much we could help by just jumping in and sharing it's not bad to share what you're learning, but
Sure.
that little level of intention of okay, because I'm always learning as a teacher. Okay, how could I teach this?
Right.
Because that helps me better understand it.
100%.
Watching you do it it's very masterful of, okay, it's all intentional, it all lines up, everything's a framework, everything is memorable, and I think that makes you a better communicator.
100%.
And all of us can do
and
this.
what's really cool is if you do that long enough, if you start applying things like alliteration, tricolons, like if you apply communication mechanisms to your communicating, eventually what happens is you train your brain to automatically think that way.
Yep.
So there comes a point you do it. How did Dee Dee say it? You do it purposefully until you can do it passively.
That's good.
So if you think about what the question you just asked, do you find out what they want first? Absolutely. Because when you are selling anything, if you want to make it seamless like we talked about this morning, the client or the potential customer, they provide the context. They provide the content. You provide the context. So the content is the thing they want. The context is the frame you put around the thing they want. So, for instance, you've got Carl and Vivian here, who I met at Peak. Anybody else here I met at Peak? Okay, Paul and Shelly, Peak. Okay, so I met you at the Peak conference. Well, Peak is a multifamily real estate investment conference. Okay, so I come in, I'm the main speaker, right? But how am I the main speaker? I don't even have any multifamily real estate yet, right? So it's kind of like, wait, what? What's he doing here, right? Okay, but that has nothing to do with it. So I'm speaking at a multifamily real estate event. So I don't have to ask the people who are there what they want.
Yeah.
I know what they want. They want to know how to invest in multifamily real estate or start a multifamily real estate fund. They want to get good at making some of their money, most of their money, or saving taxes or something via multifamily real estate. So because I have that content, even though I didn't have to talk to everybody there to know that, I know that they paid to be there, so that's what their content. So now all I have to do is wrap their content in the frame of my context. In order for you to get good at multifamily real estate, the thing you have to get good at doing is you have to get good at making offers. You have to make offers to buy real estate. You have to make offers to sell real estate. You have to make offers for people to invest in your fund. So in order for me to be effective teaching those people, I have to show them how my context perfects and fulfills their content.
So good.
And so it doesn't matter. I won't say I didn't know anything about multifamily real estate. I did. I know that I'm going to buy a bunch of it. And I know how I'm going to buy a bunch of it because I'm good at making offers. But to me, like starting a real estate fund is the easiest offer ever. So you're an entrepreneur, right, Graham? So there are 5 very undesirable dates every year for he already knows what they are for entrepreneurs because they always exist here in the United States. It's January 15th, April 15th, June 15th, September 15th, October 31st. Right? Those are the dates. Okay. I'm going to wrap it up. Anyway, so those are the dates. So here's what's cool. The easiest offer ever is how to raise money for multifamily real estate. Why? Because I can show you how to make those dates like any other day of the year. You can make them like your birthday. Why? You invest in this real estate fund, and now you don't have to pay federal income tax anymore. Instead of paying that money to them, you can pay that money to yourself, and it makes you money. That's the offer. Well, everybody in the room wants to learn how to do that. So that's to answer that question. They provide the content, you provide the context. This has been a great conversation, but we got to wrap it up so you guys can go have some fun and eat some lunch, because if you're not hungry, I am.
Give it up for Dr. Golden, everybody.
And give it up for Graham. Appreciate you, bro. That was great, bro. That was great. Thank you. Thank you.